In the far west of China, evidence is building that a monstrous crime is taking place, the mass incarceration of up to 1 million people. These photographs, found by a Uyghur expert and verified by Human Rights Watch, appear to show hundreds of Muslim prisoners in re-education camps. Officially, the state denies their existence, but China cannot airbrush these satellite images because they were shot from space. They appear to show a camp system built to lock up perhaps 1 in 10 of the Uyghur minority. You can see the progress as camps are built, barbed wire, watchtowers, car parks for the guards. Researcher Adrian Zenz found these images on Google Earth, then trawled through tenders for construction and staffing for the camps, and looked at another useful source, local official propaganda.
We have government reports, local state media reports, we have budget figures, we also have procurement and construction bids, and this is on top of eyewitness reports on what locals' informants are saying.
The re-education campaign imprisons Uyghur Muslims, force-feeding them the values of the Chinese Communist Party. How many people are locked up in Xinjiang? Adrian Zenz believes it could be an astonishing figure.
We can have sort of a bit of a lower-end conservative estimate based on all the evidence. I personally would say it's unlikely that we're looking at less than 100 or 200,000. With all the evidence coming in, from different reports, eyewitnesses, also the fact that streets are empty, and also the fact that we hardly ever hear of anybody being released from these camps. Rather, we hear of ongoing detainments. Reports of this being close to 1 million, even slightly over 1 million, are increasingly likely.
The Uyghurs have their roots in Muslim Central Asia, not Han China, and that spells trouble. In 2009, deadly riots against Beijing's heavy hand erupted in Urumqi, and many Han Chinese were targeted. Uyghur extremists have staged terror attacks, including this one in Tiananmen Square itself. Others joined Islamic State in Syria. This is China's solution. Chen Changguo rules Xinjiang with an iron fist, and now it's the most heavily monitored place on Earth. He'd learned his trade pacifying Tibet.
Late 2016, this hardliner was then called to pacify Xinjiang. And almost immediately after he arrived in Xinjiang, we can see police recruitments multiplying, spiking by maybe 10 times or more the previous levels. And the re-education campaign really represents the next level of China's security strategy in the region.
Newsnight has tracked down 2 witnesses who've both been inside China's Gulag and have now got out of the country. Finding out what's happening on the ground in Xinjiang is not easy. They speak of a multi-billion-dollar surveillance system and a level of intrusion into thought and mind that hasn't been seen since the Cultural Revolution. People are really frightened of speaking out, so we've travelled to meet 2 Uyghurs who are willing to talk to us. But they've asked us not to say where they are. They're frightened of the power and reach of the Chinese state. Azat is an eyewitness to what's happening in the camps. He asked to be filmed anonymously. He says he was allowed into a detention centre to visit a loved one. He describes what he saw as he entered the camp.
It was dinner time. There were at least 1,200 people holding empty plastic bowls in their hands. They had to sing pro-Chinese songs to get food. I never dreamt the place was so huge. The cell windows were barred. From the lights, I knew there were many more people inside as well. I estimate there were at least 3,500 people in there.
The state's battle against extremism involves indoctrinating the entire Uyghur community with a love of China and the party. They call it transformation through education. Transformation through education means chanting party slogans, reciting party thought, and self-criticism sessions. Azat knew some of the people sitting down in front of him, but something was very wrong.
They were like robots. They seemed to have lost their souls. I knew many of them well. We used to sit and eat together. But now they didn't look normal to me. They behaved as if they weren't aware of what they were doing. They were like someone who'd lost their memory after a car crash.
Azad couldn't help his family member. When he got a call from the police demanding he return to the camp, he fled China. The Uyghurs say the abuse isn't just psychological. We're on our way to meet Omar. He says he was a prisoner in a re-education centre in Karamai. He ran a travel business. He says the Xinjiang authorities accused him of aiding Islamic extremists, a charge he denies. He says the police tortured him.
They have a chair called the Tiger. My ankles were shackled, my hands locked into the chair. I couldn't move. They wouldn't let me sleep. They also hung me up for hours, and they beat me. They had thick wooden and rubber batons, whips made from twisted wire, needles to pierce the skin, pliers for pulling out your nails. All these tools were displayed on the table in front of me, ready for use at any time. And you could hear other people screaming as well.
He says after the police torture, he was moved to a camp where he shared a cell the size of this room with 45 other prisoners. It was so cramped they slept in shifts. Then he faced transformation through re-education. The re-education, how's that work?
You have no freedom at all. You must do everything according to the rules set by the Communist Party. Recite what they say, sing red songs, thank the party, think like a robot. You do whatever you are told.
It's impossible to verify what they told us is going on inside these camps, but both our witnesses talked in similar terms about re-education. And here's more chilling evidence on the logic behind China's transformation through education camps. Listen to these phrases from a government report. It calls for psychological counselling, behavioural correction and thought education. This doublespeak could come straight out of the pages of George Orwell's 1984, but in plain English we might call it brainwashing. In Britain, it's not overstating it to say the Uyghur community is terrified. Rahima Mahmood is a Uyghur musician based in London. For years, she's been fighting to keep her culture and history alive. Now, she doesn't even know where her family is. She hasn't heard from them in almost 2 years.
I've been calling them one by one, almost every day. When I couldn't get hold of them, I started become very worried, scared. In the end, my brother, he picked up the call, and I said, why my sisters and the other brothers not picking up the phone? And he said, they did the right thing. They are doing the right thing. And he said in a really kind of distressed and trembling voice, said, please just hand us to God's hand, and we hand you to God's hand too. And that's the last conversation I had.
If they talk to you, then what might happen to them?
Taken away to these re-education camps or prison.
China says its actions are driven by the need for security against Islamist threats. Rahima believes that something else is going on.
They have the full resource to find the people who are responsible. They don't have to lock up over 1 million people. This is nothing about against Islamic terrorism. This is complete black and white ethnic cleansing.
How many of your friends and family are in the re-education camp?
My father, my mother, my elder brother, younger brother, 3 younger sisters. From my wife's family, my brother-in-law and my mother-in-law, elder sister, younger brother. So from my immediate family, there are more than 20 people in the camps.
We are looking at systematic, long-term indoctrination. People are having to renounce many tenets of their religion, even of their culture. They have to engage in self-criticisms. They have to memorize party slogans. They have to sing songs of thanks to Xi Jinping. So if that is not brainwashing, then what is?
For its part, China says there is no such thing as so-called re-education camps in Xinjiang. A growing body of evidence suggests otherwise. That in at least one part of China, under President Xi Jinping, the country has gone back to the harshest cruelties of Chairman Mao's time, to mass incarceration, torture and brainwashing.
John Sweeney there. Well, the Chinese embassy in the UK told us tonight that all ethnic groups are equal in Xinjiang. In a statement, it said people in Xinjiang, as in other provinces and regions in China, enjoy full freedom of religious belief. Normal religious activities are protected by law. The local government of Xinjiang has taken lawful and effective measures, including education and training, to prevent the infiltration and spread of religious extremism. The measures not only helped those lost in extremist ideas to find their way back, but also provided them with employment training for them to build a better life. That statement from the Chinese embassy.